Just going to take the time to often pause this, make a few notes on what I see on the charts. Range starting right here. Obviously, you have a larger time frame hold dictating this range. So I would look at the hold level as the beginning of the range. Well, I don't want to say the beginning of the range. That wouldn't be correct. I would say I want to see the hold level here, which I have marked in purple. So I'm assuming this is the week. Let's just rewind it back here. We've got this on a 4-hour on the purple for some reason. So I see the break of the move and I see the reverse here. The reverse less in play than the actual move because the reverse is going to be alignable to a deeper hold level. So in this scenario here, because of the depth of this range and the proximity of this hold level right here, I would say it's while it may be a candidate for a reverse level, your better initiation to go after here is something deeper inside of this 4-hour. And obviously leg of the move and what could be the larger time frame distribution candle right here to show us where we could create a range trend and floating level as well. So I don't know how crazy I would get with this. I think I would probably stay pretty true to this level because it's a floating hold level. I would rather look for a floating hold level to stabilize off of this candle, trying to find this as a distribution on another time frame to create a range. So floating hold level there is important. So just kind of a few things that I see when I analyze this trade with floating hold level. The dictation that the range will start. So look for the floating hold level to get hit. If it does, then it can create a range. If not, there could have been a floating hold already hit in here. So you might actually go after the leg. So that would be the next thing I would look at. I would say here's a floating hold level, but there's a wick for it. Did this hit maybe an hourly floating hold? It's possible. And then actually you deep dive this 4-hour leg by hitting the greediest hold inside of the 4-hour leg, therefore creating your range trend off of a floating level that was already hit here. So don't get too tunnel visioned into looking at a floating hold level without seeing like a few candles of architecture to the left here in this scenario, because you could see that definitely there could have already been one hit hourly or the 15, and then a stabilization on that same time frame as time goes on.
Oops. Misclick there. If we start on the 4-hour, and I even really should be starting on the daily. There's your 4-hour. Right, you break that range. You're
1-hour test there. Reverse, not so certain. Maybe we need to see a 15 there.
You never actually reached it yet.
Backside got hit. Okay, backside hourly or the top of the 4-hour candle by the looks of it.
It's just holding whatever this was holding.
It hit like the 4-hour backside level, I think.
Yeah, it's very possible. Yeah, I haven't really 4-hour backside. This guy right here.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense.
So that could develop the range. Same thing as hitting the floating level. It can develop the range here. But that's important to know because it is a floating level. Yeah, exactly. You need to look for where the you would even go back maybe to this point here to see if there's an origin that looks like a 4-hour origin. Looks like it hit a 4-hour origin. What breaks the move up can hold it. What breaks the move up can also hold it up, right? So it looks like an origin level was hit, which is now something different than what we were talking about with floating holds.
You could go one time frame greedier here.
Let's skip through some of these time frames here.
Of the next range, right? And then the front side is down here with the current range, and the backside front side combination levels down here.
Potential floating level there, although I'm using 12-hour time frames.
Not same staircasing in here.
Not a huge fan of that in this scenario, but that's fine.
It's going to be the same polarity against trends. 30-minute to 30-minute right here. Breaks that, moves up. Hard closes to here. Breaks that, moves up. Hard closes.
Cycles through its move, just like what we talked about yesterday. That's perfectly fine.
We create, right? Same cycle with a base of a range.
You know, it's funny, is this actually looks like what happened on Bitcoin. Bitcoin on Bitcoin. This looks like what happened on Bitcoin. Has a range that it cycles through, goes up, tests a crazy level, very deep inside the range, and pulls right back. It actually looks very much like what Bitcoin has done. I haven't checked this chart since yesterday, so it'll be really cool to go back and analyze it.
Hold level holding through trends, right? Same piece here that was first here, and then cycles to here, and then just cycles out to its final piece until there's a trend breaks and there's nothing left. Like flip this upside down, and you'll see it too at the same time. This is the last level when there's nothing left untested. You break that, you move to this. You break that, you move to the next one. Same base of the range, like laddering
Let's
up
go
with that
forward a
uptrend,
bit
right?
here
Like
in
even
time.
here, for example. This
Cut
guy
out the
right here.
chit
You
chat
can
so
see
we
where the
can
final
focus on
moment in
the
this trade is
range.
if you follow like the and it's why we shorted this, right? Because it was like the greediest piece of this entire range. And
Morning,
if this
King.
range breaks, like what this was testing back here, is going to go up to its next untested piece or tested piece or whatever it ends up going to, right? Like, but the point being is that this is your polarized moment. Like this
Yeah,
level,
final
right?
hold
This
level
isn't
there.
even anything you should take on the charts. This one was gone, right? You guys saw how I did that on the 1 minute charts. That was one of the ones I posted in the week in the because again, it's just testing the greediest piece of this range, just like you're going to test the greediest piece of this range, and that's the greediest piece right there. Like
Let's get to the cycle of this move. Get forward a bit.
That's continuing to hold right there. Is there anything else? Or is that it?
We're just going through
No,
hold
that's
levels
it.
here
This is
in this
already tested
replay
here.
to see where the final untested
That's
hold
hit
level is.
right there.
Breaking through, right?
So then,
When you create a
if you
cycle, you
break over
back attack
this,
the
you should be
untested hold
moving
levels
up
until you
just
have
the
nothing
same way
left,
we
and then it
broke over
flies
the
up.
top of this range here. So
As long as all other check marks are good to go.
Here. Like whatever this is holding, right? You're gonna have that same cycle like this. You know, first trend.
Yep, just interior
second
cycling
trend,
against hold levels. Very, very straightforward.
third trend. And then here, like you're hanging on to like the thinnest of levels. And this right here is next. Creates like another last point, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, final level, and then it flies.
It's no wonder it just.
So this had just simply cycled in time frames back on larger time frames through the part of the move, and it eventually gets to a point where there's no untested hold levels left on this side of the screen, and then just the interior range has a final hold level. It's already cycled, so that's pretty important to realize about any ranges when you're in the moment. Just like how we said yesterday, like this thing's got a long ways to go. We could be out here all the way till the 8th now. I think I adjusted this trend yesterday, shortly after the morning session there. So, like you have a long way to go, right? There's lots of room, and you're just adjusting your interior cycle, and that's it. And same thing with this. You're just adjusting your interior cycle in the move.
Snaps up like this because it's just,
you have a hold level to see if it's going to get hit or not. You see if the move is cycling.
This was questionably like nothing.
I think that's pretty interesting hack, I guess, or a pretty interesting quick tip is to see if your level is going to get attacked, and if it's going to break, you see if the move is cycling towards it. Cycling is the first thing that has to happen before you attack a hold level. You cycle towards it.
Still manages to come down.
So say if you are breaking levels on this side of the chart over here, you're moving up, you hit a break, you hit a hold level in the move, you move through it to a higher time frame hold or a lower time frame hold, whichever is the case. You hit it and you move through it. Well, it would typically be a lower time frame hold until you get to a higher time frame range. You move that one, you break, you go to the next one, and in all of these 3 attempts like this, so you have 3 kind of hold levels right here inside of a move, right? So you go and you attack this one because that's attacking something here, and this is attacking something here and here, and then you create a cycle to see if you can go to the next one, right? And then you have your final hold level right here, which gets hit, and then you go to your next time frame. And that creates a pullback, and then you have a cycle that's created there, right? And then you have some kind of final hold level. So then you would go and you'd cycle up. So that's really the thing. Like a quick tip or a quick hack is that if you have a hold level on your charts, it's the cycle that will show whether that's being attacked and if it's going to be broken or not. And then the same thing on the bottom side. You have cycles on your bottom side too. You have hold levels on the bottom and you cycle against them, right? So the cycle is a really cool tool because it shows you kind of the first parts of what would break a level. Yeah, if you start laddering on one side of the chart and cycling towards the other side, and there's hold level there, it's like a good idea that you should probably buy something before that hold level gets hit, because then you get into a scenario where the hold level gets hit, it can't hold, and it completely crushes through.
Wherever it is down here, that's laddering from this point to holding this piece of the ladder to what would now be, I'm sure there's like something maybe in the 1 minute on here, but we could just call it like this, or whatever it is in here. But these are very polarized moments. Like this here is polarized, this here is polarized, and that gives you your trade right there. Just gaps to the next moment. But again, which trades am I taking? Well, this 96.13 was smart because it was here. Stuff in here is not smart as a short. Obvious reasons, like there's no levels tested on the left, so when it snaps up like this, you shouldn't be surprised. Just like when this snaps up through its range, you also shouldn't be surprised when it starts to hold its move. When it starts to hold something like whatever this is here, sure, there's like a little move up here, whenever it starts to hold this, like it should come to as no surprise that, you know, the inevitable is about to happen and you're about to start cycling up your range. Then you just simply snap over that too, right? So yeah, there's definitely those moments that exist from this purple down, but you have to follow the trail of your untested holds, right? Like you have to follow the trail of the hold ups. Like what's left in this trade, right? Like, you know, this is tested. It can't be that. So it has to be inside of this range, which ends up being a 1 minute level right here, which was the greediest part of the range, but it also makes it a great trade. Like it makes it a very good trade. But that's why I have that trade at 96.14 earlier this week, because it was a super smart trade. There was just, why not take that level? It's what can ladder the move down. And if that breaks, it's just coming right up to here anyways. So like, it's very, very much like there's no trades that exist between that area and this area for sure. You know, do the same thing on the bottom side. You would, you know, follow your trail to the bottom side here. Same thing on this side. You know, it's like, okay, well, you can no longer be buying this. It's already moved through. And this is a high time frame. So you're going to have some variation in here. You can't say, oh, here's a 4 hour. Let's, you know, you're going to have variation there, because you're going to go like this and you're going to say, oh, okay, well, there's, you know, something obviously right here, which gives you, you know, a better buy, right? Which gives you the moment from here, right? So you go here and you could say, you know, where's the untested piece here? Right here. Is this a good buy? Yeah, it's a hell of a buy, right? Because it's just like the greediest piece of that range that's untested, and it provides to be a good buy. So you're doing the same thing on the other side too. You're just here's the range, but the range exists from like this point, like somewhere from right here, the start of the break to the hold itself, right? Like there's some piece of the range in here. So then that became like a great buy right there, and then, you know, you do the same thing like this. This is a great buy, but the range exists like from here to here. So like the same thing we went through last time, right? Like, is this a good buy? Yes, it was a good buy. An hour later, it was a great buy, right? And so this can't be used anymore. So let's work off of that. So let's say it has to be from this point forward, right? Because that's where it is. And so then you have a level right there. So the same piece of that range, right? Like, and then you know, so between here and there, and you know, what becomes the greediest level? There's nothing there. There's this here, but it has to be above that.
It's very
Right?
very straightforward. The move cycle, just like we had already talked about. I'm gonna skip a bit of this here.
This side of it, like you were saying, between here and here. And so you can see where like the perfect entry was here, because it was inside this range. And then
I'd actually wonder what was inside of that range that it hit
here. And now you have it here. And then you can develop it from here. Like, where's the next entry, right? So then you can just kind of go and do this and put that there, and then trail through backwards again, right? Okay, so that's already tested. So we have to kind of be from here to here somewhere. Like the range is going to exist inside of here. So then we can go like this and say, okay.
It's always like a nice little trick to do. Is to go to the bottom of the wick and work back to see where the hold level can be. So like a quick example of that would be like this. Oopsies. Let's like you could even just take the replayer tool, cut it here. Oh, we need to go forward 1 or 2 candles. Let's just go forward a few candles here. Oh, okay, great. You can simply mark your level like this, and then you can just make it a fancy color. We'll go kind of this off-tone yellow, like peach or something, make it a dotted line, and then we can just work back. 15-minute time frame. Actually, we'll just go to the 4 hour. Okay, cool. Look at that. Bang, perfect. Then we can just work back and say, oh, nothing on the hourly. Okay, you've got something on the 15. What about deeper? Yeah, you've got deeper on the 5 right there, right? So you can just kind of work back like that. You even have the 3. Looks like the 5 is more the relevant level, and same thing with the 1 there. So then you can just go 15, hit play, and you can find your hold level pretty easily that way. Pretty sure it broke right through this hold level. Yesterday we were looking at this. I'm pretty sure it broke right through this and went down quite a bit further. Oh no, it actually didn't quite reach that just now. Oh, okay, perfect. So what did it hit then? 15-minute? No, it's not the 15. The 5-minute? No, it's not the 5. Oh, it is the 5-minute. It's the 5-minute level right here, backside. So that would be a shorter time frame, right? 3-minute valley, getting close. 1 minute origin. Broke over top of that. It's not really even an origin. Backside valley, untested 1 minute. Greedy is part of it. I'm assuming it's this. Yeah. Here. Then $10. Safe to assume it's that. So just a cool thing you can do is just, you know, take a candle on a high time frame and then just mark the wick on the bottom and then just move back. It's not going to give you impeccable accuracy, but it'll give you a pretty nice, thorough way to do it fast.
Nothing there. Okay, we have this right here. So here, it wasn't actually tested. That would have been a good buy though. That would have been a good spot to long. Or you could have been inside of this range trying to get right here, right? Like whatever this is holding. But you see, this is the same thing we just looked at up here. This is the base of the range developing through trends, right? Going back to that other side, like you've got trend here, goes through, trend here, goes through, and I'm sure there's a higher time frame trend. This looks like the 15-minute right here. And this is kind of the hold level. And so you break trend, you move up, right? And then you're here against this, which gives you, again, your entry off of this ladder point. But again, you can move it from here and go back and say, well, where's the greediest point? Yeah, greediest point is right there. It's clear as day. And if that can hold through trend. So it exists on both sides, right? And again, this is like, okay, long if this is holding, short if this is closing. Because we don't have a bias to say, oh, I think we're going long. Like we of course have a bias, we're human beings, but we don't sit there and say, I think we're going long, so no matter what happens, I'm going to long. So simply long it if it holds trend, right? Like, okay, let's take this one away for a second. Here's your level. Simply long this if it continues to hold through trend. Just long it. Because as long as it stays on this side, you can long. If it breaks down to this side, you can short, but just realize where your next point is because it's all polarized, right? Like if you short there, can it go here? No. Can it go here? Possible, yes. Probably not because it looks like maybe. Well,
I think you can always get greedier in this trade and go for these lower levels. And that becomes a choice of style. And if you want to take the greedier position versus wanting to be taking the ladder points, you have an interior ladder point that's developed right here, right? So you have kind of an interior trend right here. So you have a range trend that's developed right there, right? And then you have the greedier points down here. So you're saying, is this range trend going to hold? Like, is this going to hold? Or is it going to go back here and test and create a range trend down here? So this becomes a choice of style. And when you have ladder, when you start holding this ladder over time, you don't necessarily have to get in here, but then it's, you know, likely breaking out. Then maybe you should get in during the breakout. Redley says, morning all, at the hospital, just got a baby girl. Try to catch up in a little bit and get the replay later. Congratulations, man. What a beautiful, beautiful gift from life. Congrats. And absolutely the replay will be up, Redley.
Oh, it can't go here. Can't go here.
That's incredible, dude.
It can't go here. So actually maybe it can go here. So you know, your short exists from here to here, like short to target, right? And then if that breaks, you're just down into the next range, like down right here, 94 or whatever. So it exists on both sides. Hopefully that.
What an absolute blessing, man. You know, it
that
couldn't be better.
Like,
remember this day, February 6th,
like, where the trades
2022.
exist from. Like we delete all of this, and early in the week we said, okay, we're going to short this. But then, like you guys saw, I took this trade. How I justified that trade, and then even there, like, okay, could you take this trade? Yeah. But just find the range again, because we're just doing that same range find, right? Like we're just sitting here saying, okay, where's the greediest point versus how thin is this move? Where could it go versus where am I getting entry?
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So you're kind of, you know, you're between those 2 points. So you can say, okay, well, let's find a level. Even there, even the 3 minute would have been like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Was there a deeper piece? Yes. Could this have held the move up? Yes, absolutely. This could have absolutely held the move up, but did it go for the deeper piece? Yes. But then you know, you're 94, 91 versus what? $3 difference? Probably just.
I think when you're
91.
When you're looking at a
It's
move that's
98.
creating this kind of
Sure.
ladder,
Yeah, it hits 98.
even
Just
right
like-
now, as it's creating this type of ladder, you look for the confirmation of the ladder over time, and the moves are breaking up, and you're looking
Here's
for
a
that
30-minute.
confirmation of that ladder,
Okay,
right?
that looks really good. Is there a better 15? Sure. What's the difference here? $5? Probably just take the 9.
I think when you're looking at this trade, you have to think about it in this regard. 1 ladder, 2 ladders. 1 ladder, 2, 3. Shoot, all of a sudden you broke over. Okay, scratch that. We got 1 ladder point here. So really, this is kind of communicating that this move isn't done and it's still going up, right? And it's communicating that it's not quite done yet. If it hits this point, then you have your 1, 2, and then you can see if you can break below this to start indicating that this side of the range is going to break. But for now, it looks like it's moving up.
98.95, and I probably front run that by $1, which got me my first entry on this trade. You know, do I take 94.91 or not? Like a $3 difference? If you're going to front run 94.91, you might as well front run that less, because if you're going to front run 94.88, you're probably going to front run that to 90, like at least a minimum or something.
We don't need to talk about front running trades here. That's fine.
Was there any other parts of this chart there, Dilbert, that didn't make sense? Kind of like, where can we take trades in this section here? Like, where do trades exist in here?
Yeah, I do, I suppose, practice more. No, I think I know. As I said, I see the various levels and stuff like that, and yeah, that's all fine. No, it was more, as I said, you know, often I see something that looks like it's holding per se, but it doesn't, and it's just the way you were saying you saw it was holding. That's what I was more asking about. But
it's really important. Yeah, it's really important to see the base of a range. And like, even if we were on this chart here and we said, okay, like let's just draw a trend. Okay, this trend breaks. This level can hold it up. Okay, yeah. Like just. Oops.
Trend breaks, hold level.
Okay, here's your hold level.
Hold level that breaks the trend.
What is it holding through, right? So then you can even just say like, it's
absolutely, and then it starts to cycle and move.
And this is then
you start to lose hold levels on the other side. The writing's on the wall.
See like the base of each of these being developed, like right here, for example. It's really important to pay. Yeah,
cycles the move, right?
This base.
Yep.
So you'll notice, like if we take this triangle out now, this is the same thing you did against this hold level to develop the base of a move, right? Which
meanwhile, is just the bottom side is holding.
Move. You have, yep. Now you're here in the move, right? Like even through. But like being able to see the base is.
And we're just talking about the base of the move here. I remember this. I remember teaching these guys in the moment this stuff.
Move here. This has to hold it, right? If it can't hold it, then guess where you're going, right? Wait, I did that wrong. It should be here. Oh boy, now I'm confused. That's wrong side. Okay. Distribution.
Up the chart upside down. You lost sometimes.
Let's work with the highest time frame here. Let's just go to the 4. I don't think there's going to be anything developed past the 4. And then we're going to adapt this out. The 1, which is right here. Then you'd have something like that, right? So we can.
Okay, good. There's nothing left in this lesson. It's the end of it. So, okay, good. Let's talk about the setup let's continue working on our chart from yesterday and talk about the setup that we started to create yesterday. So we left off yesterday. We left off like this, okay? Looks like our levels have been getting hit pretty perfectly. So I'm going to delete some of these hold levels that we were looking at, right? We're going to delete these. These pink levels can stay. This one can go. That's fine. We're gonna start from here, right? So you know you're looking for that perfect setup. Once again, you're looking for that perfect setup, and where can it exist? Okay, so first off, let's go to the 4 hour. We haven't had enough time to create anything on the 4 hour, right? We're still of that mentality that we need that perfect setup to exist. So let's start doing this properly. Let's mark this out in the way that makes sense now. Let's use yellow, thin line, make this make sense. We have, I hate to use this here. It just doesn't do it for me. So we are going to mark this as yellow because that's where the base point starts. This one, make it thin, and don't believe we'll have anything on the daily. That would be way too premature. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the 4, and we need to find what this is first. So that's gonna kind of be our first guy there. So what is this? The 15. Okay, so let's make this gray. Realize that we're working on a 15-minute time frame. Let's delete this range box so we have some more clarity here. So let's get rid of this guy, this little dot here. So we've got a 15-minute level that's holding this move. Let's also develop this as the 15-minute level. So let's just use the 15-minute levels going down right now. We are going to want to delete all hold levels and start developing this. Believe this was the hourly. This one we can turn blue. We can fix it. And I don't know if this is anything. That's a 4-hour. What did we mark down there? Another 4-hour. That one's not really important. Got a 4-hour here. We can just leave both on for now. In this scenario, you'd be using this one, not this. This can break down, but this can hold it. So I am going to delete this. It's not going to be relevant. This hourly range right here is going to be relevant. Okay. This hourly range is going to be relevant. This 4-hour range is going to be relevant. So we have 15-minute on the top. Trying to break this move. Okay. Or we move it to the hourly. Let's just double check. Nothing on the 4. We've gone to the 15, mark that from the 4. So let's hard close this thing. So you've got first cycle broken here, second broken there, third broken here. So this is really your two trends in play on the top and bottom, both derived from 15-minute candles, right? 4-hour down here, 1 hour here, and both of these derived from 15-minute candles. Now we've got our hold levels. We've got weekly. We've got daily. Yes, so we went deeper inside the daily range. So now we have to start thinking about, okay, what does that mean? So we didn't quite hit the leg of the move. So we laddered off the leg. This had back tested something much larger. So actually, we can look at the break of this move as this on a smaller time frame. Is there anything there right here? So we need to mark this daily break. We need to mark this daily break as a potential for an origin in the future. So this is what it will ultimately be going after. So now I know that we will ultimately be going after this. So we have one of two things that are going to happen. We are either going to hit this origin and try to set up a breakout for the future, okay? Or we are going to hit one of these levels and ladder the move from the higher time frame, which would be here. Come on. Let's keep in mind that it's Sunday today, okay? So this may end up creating something like this as long as it's not on the weekly, and it is. So we might end up actually creating the weekly trend. So we need to just cool our jets, float this for now, see if we hit the break, creating an origin breakout, lose trend, break the move. Or if we ladder off of it, trend is irrelevant because it can still hit the origin level and move down. So two scenarios I want to be aware of here, okay? We come out to this moment. Oh, sorry. We hit this origin level. We fall back. When that happens, we break this trend. We're likely breaking the origin. So scenario 1. Scenario 2 is it comes here, hits trend, deep dives this, falls below trend. So scenario 1 hits the origin level and uses trend to break the move. Scenario 2 hits the origin level and uses trend to break the move, right? So different parts of the move, right? As to where one is going to, wait, did I say that right? I might have done it right, said it wrong. Let me repeat that. Scenario 1, hit the origin level, trend breaks the move. Scenario 2, hit the trend, origin level breaks the move. So in one scenario, trend breaks the move. In the other scenario, origin breaks the move. This is something we need to be aware of going forward right now, just the way this is setting up. Did it regain that lighter upper trend? Lost. This here? Lighter upper trend. Which color, Kenny? Regain that lighter upper trend. Light purple. So this is just the backside. We left this here. I believe it's a weekly. This is like kind of already lost. I wouldn't be using this anymore. This was just there for illustration purposes yesterday. I would not be using that. I'd be looking at this move and saying, what's holding this down? Because I want to understand what causes us to break out. Now that we're up in this part of the move, I need to understand what breaks this move, this range. So I need to analyze this. So that's the first thing we need to see. We can delete that. Now we can start to work down in time frames. We have 15-minute trend, 15-minute trend, hourly, 4-hour. So really what we need to do is start looking at what kind of setups are existing right now. We still have time to actually get out in this trade and develop some of these points where this would break, where that would break. Even if you were to take this, less likely, more importantly is these two trends here, because these, the blue and the yellow, they'll dictate what happens there. So now we look for the setup. So now we can start marking levels. You got backside hourly, which was just tested. So backside could break it down, right? I don't think we're quite there yet. You start moving forward in time, you've got a 15. I would like to see what levels have been holding this down now in order to properly make this decision. We don't have any 15-minute levels really held on this side of the chart. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just work my way time frame down here and see which hold levels have been holding this. So you've got a 5-minute here that develops that there. So really, I would like to see this backside 5-minute as kind of the first point of rejection, because the backside 5-minute in this case is also testing that 5-minute level. So if you were to mark this backside, it can ladder off of this 5-minute test. So that this is one thing I would note as kind of like a setup for a good spot. Next, let's keep moving down in time frames. Okay, let's keep working through this thing. Let's go 3-minute reverse as well. 3-minute reversed, hit. 3-minute also can ladder it right there. So you've got this as a 3-minute candidation. So if you were to say this one right here, that's also testing that 3-minute range. So that 5-minute is continuously looking like it is the correct level. Nothing on the 1 there. We've got a 1-minute here, which tests there. So we're going to want to move down to the next reverse, which is here, which I'm assuming is likely lining up again, all within that same kind of thing on that move. You got also the 1-minute is back testing this 5-minute here, and the 3-minute there is also slipped through. So I think your greediest proposition here, if you're wanting to short, is the 3-minute. With a 3-minute set, though, you also have the 3-minute range being tested here, and this also completes the 1-minute test, which is right there, which is technically already tested. The 5 is not tested, it falls straight through, and it completes that 5-minute test. So I think you have 2 levels, but I think the 5-minute becomes kind of the glaring target here. So if this is going to short, this is where it needs to do it off of to develop that trend. So if you're going to short, I do like 664 personally. That's the one I like. Now, that's the case of short, right? Can you hit these higher targets in the range right now? I think at this point, you're more likely to reverse the weekly. I think at this point, you're more likely to reverse the weekly and see this thing fall down. You need to continue holding this weekly, so I think it's premature to stay in a short forever here, but I think this is a good scalp target. Maybe you want to go right to the top of the range. Yeah, I think this is a good scalp target. That's like you're firing on every level here. I think this is, if you're looking at, and this is what we do, it's our job. If you're looking at quality of position, I think this fires on everything and is the highest quality position you can take. And, it also completes the 15. Yeah, you know what? I think this is a really good level. It kind of fires on every single symbol, right? Test deep dive the range, protects the leg of the move. So if it's protecting the leg of the move, what can we see now? Okay, so you'd have something like this, right? You'd have something like that, right? Which protected the leg of the move. And that's exactly what happens. You protect the leg of the move. You can adapt it down in time frame, and then you have exactly what was going to happen. Deep dives the move, protects the leg of the move off the trend. Perfectly fine. Re-entry looks suitable there. Protected the leg of the move. Can this ladder the move? And it can from here. Can it reverse the daily? I think the daily is also a good spot to go after. I think if you don't want to take the 5 and you want to reduce risk, you could reverse the daily. So now I think we have this trend in play here. So I think we can take this off, and I think we can believe we marked it on the daily first. So we can mark this as red, even though the reach point isn't. Even though the reach point isn't red, I think the reach point is a 4, I believe. Yeah, Yep, it's a 4 hour. So even though that reach point is a 4 hour there, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. We can just leave it as red. And now what we are looking for on this side is to say, here's the hold level that it needs to break over top of to hold the move. Oh, come on. This is what it needs to break up over top of to hold the move. And this is going to be 4 hour. And we're going to make this one dashed because it's not in play yet. So it's an inactive level, but it could be created. That's a really thin margin. I'm liking this less and less now that I see that 4 hour hold level there. I'd like to go back to the 1 hour. And that 4 hour is really clean. It's a really, really perfect hold level. Like if you start moving up, that's going to be, you know, backside up here, which is below this. So I think you can even test that backside to see if you're going to break out. So even I would move this to now here. Instead of taking the 5 minute, I would take deeper in the 5 minute range. But the problem with this is that, you know, you go here and you don't hold this. I actually like the daily reverse now that can create the next part of this trend off of the premise that this is a daily trend, and you can create legacy. You'll create your interior component, which would technically be local. So this would technically be global, but eventually it'll end up fraying into a legacy move. So I like this daily reverse. I think the daily reverse is what makes sense here. I think the 5 minute isn't the perfect setup. So I'm analyzing this move and I'm saying, okay, which would the perfect setup be? And I think that's really the key wording. What's the perfect setup? So I've taken all of this information, and while the 5 minute looks good, it's not the perfect setup. The perfect setup is actually that it hits this daily reverse and pulls back. So I think I like to just reduce risk here by saying, like, yeah, I mean, the perfect setup would be testing that level right there. And it's like perfect, because then it can create the next perfect setup going forward. This is global, and that will create local. And then as the move goes on, that local turns global, and this turns legacy. So that's like a really good way to look at like the perfect setup is you find the best levels, and then you're like, oh, but what else could it go after? Because now you've got the 5 minute range here, which is the 5 minute level, which is also the 3, and there's all this confluence. But then there's the 4 hour backside. So if it does get up into these ranges, it's creating a 4 hour level. So that kind of don't really like that, right? And this could be happening in the next, like right here, we got 9 minutes to go. This is the hold level, so we don't even need the backside anymore. But I think then we can take this trade here and use this as our target exit for this trade. And if it goes and holds this for long enough, we just use that as a target exit to maximize profits and what is a scalp trade. And if it breaks this, all of a sudden we need to get below this one. And if we can get below this, right, like this is your next target trigger. So your first trigger out is here. If it holds that, you're out. Your second one is here. If it holds this, you're out. And those are your scalp trades where you hit this. You hold this, you know the 4 hours holding. Get out of the trade. You don't need to see trends break to tell you that this thing is going up. If you go down to here, and you cannot create this as what could be the backside for the future. And so if you go and you hold like this, all you have is ladder, ladder, ladder. Otherwise, if you get below this, now you have 4 hour backside, 4 hour backside. So then your triggers become, instead of triggering out on trends and things where you possibly are waiting, you know, for X amount of time to lose money, you start holding this out of the trade, because you can't create that backside. The same can be said about this. This can be your next one as well. So you could kind of have like a 3-step trigger here and a 4th step trigger with a trend. Then you could also go like a 4-step, like I just call them steps, like a 4-step trigger. You know, you're stepping through four things. 1, 2, 3. This one holds, get out. Or if it's like 1, 2, deep dives this, comes back up top over this, get out. So you have like a 4-step trigger system in this, which can then convert this trade into a scalp. And then you could even go deeper in time frames to make a 5th step, right? So like this is another thing that I want people doing is stepping their targets. This is something I do that I haven't taught people yet, but I step my targets. So I'm just going to call this stepping your targets. So this is something we do when we're looking at, do we turn a scalp into a swinger position? So on this side, we have what makes sense, and then what makes sense is fine, but then up here we have the perfect setup. So we've now analyzed this trade as the perfect setup exists up here to take the smartest short with a 1, 2, 3, 4. You could possibly 5-step it, ladder point, 6-step it off of this. Although I don't know what this is. I haven't done this time frame yet, but you could possibly do a 6th step on this for shields. When all those shields break, you are now converting your scalp into a swing. So you've created the perfect setup. You've set your stepping, right? So you've stepped your shields or stepped your targets, right? Your targets to exit the trade, your shields. You've stepped your shields. You've created the perfect setup. You've stepped your shields. And then once your shields get, or your targets get stepped through, then you can convert the trade from, so then conversion, I'll write that down. The stepping equals conversion. Let me not make a million spelling errors, please. Stepping equals conversion of scalp into swing. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little over the top technical wise things I haven't talked about, but anyways, I hope it makes sense in terms for everybody to grasp, because I have to do this in a way that a large group of people here can grasp. So I think that's how I think this move, we've created the perfect setup. So you have, the setup in play right here. Based on everything that we can see on the chart right now, this is the perfect setup. And if we break over top of this and this, we create a new setup, right? But I think this is the perfect setup, followed by stepping your targets to convert what could be a scalp with hold targets on the bottom, the criteria that would convert it into a swing trade. Origins is an important part of this move. I'm looking at hold levels right now, not origins, because you're hitting a weekly hold level right now. So what's holding this move down is not going to be an origin. More like if you had a local origin here, say you had even one like right here, you had a local origin right here, it would be superseded by this weekly level, because this weekly level is really the more important event right now, Dak. So that would be why. It's not that the origin's not important. It's just the origin's relevance is limited to this right here. Like the origin's relevance is limited to, the breakout of, you can say from this point to this point. This is the relevance of the origin level there. The relevance of this level is that the weekly's continuously trying to hold the move down. So you have deeper ranges inside this weekly. And I would think of the weekly being polarized up here is maybe where I would look for more of a local origin, because this local origin will only break it into a deeper part of this range, which is being superseded by the weekly. So maybe if you were up here in the move, an origin could tell you that, okay, we're at the top of the range. The weekly can no longer hold. If this origin breaks, we're moving to the next range, right? But at this point in time, this is all being superseded by this weekly, because this origin can only tell you, hey, we have breakout, but breakout stops at the next part of this range, which is still superseded by this right here. It's still, being controlled by this larger piece right here. So that's why the origin isn't as important right now, because it's just showing you where it could break deeper into the range. It doesn't have this like, oh, you break the origin and all of a sudden you're gone in the move, because you still have other components to this move that can show you where this can stop the move without an origin being, because you could break out from interior part of the range. Like breakout in this case could be from, say, break this origin and you break out to here. Well, that's completely expected, right? So I care less about the origin and more about creating the perfect short setup. You break out to here, you break out to the reverse, you break the origin, you break out to here, you break out to here. So it's less important, because the event right now that's in play, like the active event, if you want to call it that, is that of the weekly, which needs to be able to hold this to create a large time frame range down. So that's my setup for this trade. That's how I'm stepping my targets down on this trade, and that's what I'm looking at to dictate the procedural analysis of this. We've created the perfect setup. And now we've created some procedural stepping or procedural triggers that will allow the conversion of the trade. So again, this is a little, everybody, how do you even say it? I hope everybody follows this. I just did my best today to keep it challenging for everybody, but at the same time,